Hello, I'm Ruslan Yusipov, and I'm CEO and founder of Compositor Software. You may have come across ranking algorithms for streaming. These algorithms are found everywhere, starting with algorithms that offer to listen to certain tracks based on your taste, as well as professional algorithms for rotating broadcast studios. Surely, you have even thought about how to influence such an algorithm, how to persuade it to make a certain choice more often, or keep the chain within those stylistic frameworks which you have set in advance. Such methods exist, and it is called stream broadcast with artificial intelligence. In fact, this method resembles a hedgehog collecting mushrooms in the forest. Fungi are parent servers, mushrooms are media files, and hedgehog is an aggregator, a carrier. The hedgehog's friends are the ones with whom the hedgehog shares files. Host in this terminology is a hedgehog, and the set of mushroom on hedgehog needles is a playlist. A hedgehog picks mushrooms and arranges a pair of mushrooms. Similarly, the host collects a playlist and transmits it to the peer, a system equipped with a stochastic receiver. The main task of the host is to collect playlists. The playlist consists of various tracks routing paths to the servers from which the broadcast is conducted. This way the system of aggregation of communication channels is organized. Music is good for aggregation on the one hand because it is listened to online, and on the other hand, on good tracks you can easily keep an auxiliary ether. Auxiliary ether is a broadcast that includes both a broadcasting studio and the transmission of material via a communication channel. The auxiliary ether creates a high saturation on the communication channel, in which it is possible to use an over-the-horizon radio station to transmit and receive stochastic chains from stations located on the other continents. Streams can be reproduced from servers both at any time after the broadcast of the stochastic chain and at the time of inheritance of the chain from the transmitting station. The input virtual router and peer-to-peer aggregator are the main mechanism of the stochastic studio's terrestrial transmission. If all users could connect to the same thread at once, buffer overflow errors would occur on the parent server. To limit the number of listens and routing to the end user, a system of invitation tickets is introduced. This is done with the help of non-renewable tokens. In fact, when calling the application of the input router, one token is issued as the one invitation ticket. By using the routing protocol of this virtual router, it is transmitted to the cloud, where a command is activated to remotely call the receiver application of this invitation. The listener application inherits the chain from the incoming router and transmits it to the end user. Since the router application deals to the final receiver, the cloud server where the intermediate media ticket is issued can be located anywhere in the world. Token communication, therefore, does not require physical communication lines and connection to the internet. A connection to the WAN is required only for streaming. This method of dealing is called peer-to-peer telephony and is often used by fraudsters for automatic calls in order to extort funds. In another way, this method can be called quantum radiophony, that is, radio broadcasting directly to the receiver, bypassing the media environment. Media, in the theory of streaming, is not considered a medium of transmission, but broadcasting equipment from which the transmission is conducted. This can be both servers and autonomous mobile stations that transmit the geographical curve of the stochastic sequence of the given region. Essentially, music is played only through routing itself, not by calling a specific streaming protocol that communicates directly with the server, which allows you to hide the end user of the chain, as well as the location of the parent server. Media have certain purposes on the stochastic spiral, according to the divisor for a given value of the height of the spiral. You can change the styles according to the deployment of the flow translation. Thus, using the modulation index, you can specify all popular styles and their genres on the stochastic spiral. The only legal receiver capable of accepting stochastic sequences to this date is Compositor Software RAD96 application. It is a fully quantum autonomous receiver that can be invoked with a token and transmit the parent routing chain. RAD96 allows you to inherit the geographic constant of a Broadcast Studio equipped with an input router. The stochastic sequence of the RAD96 receiver is capable of learning external playlists. You can set the stochastic chain by invoking a playlist of original stochastic sequence of tracks and then continue receiving the next chain by the reference mechanism. You may also underlearn the reference mechanism, but then the depth of it will be less and you will get more similar results. Compositor Broadcast Studio is the set of broadcast plugins for computer with coefficients to inherit the chains of the host ranking algorithm, the carrier of coefficients. Compositor Broadcast Studio uses parent media files and playlists to reach a stochastic radio location of a geographic region, that is, finding certain GPS coordinates. Next, it translates the original stochastic chain to the receivers, where it establishes the geography of the parent server with its inherent routing. Essentially, Compositor Software suite of broadcast plugins introduces extensions to streaming services and browsers like Apple Music, YouTube, Spotify, Safari, Chrome, etc., and video services like Apple TV+. These plugins run on the operating system and replace the standard OS routing functions. They are called by the system scheduler on the concept of lack of resources. If a system does not have a resource of a certain type, it requests it by calling the appropriate service application. For example, if you are watching a recently released episode of an unpopular but interesting series and can't aggregate enough sources in a virtual local area network for uninterrupted streaming, the system can request long-distance routing paths to source servers outside the state or even the continent. This function is replaced by an over-the-horizon radio router SAS24P3L. The range of the VLF station SASER SAS24P3L is more than 12,000 kilometers. With the help of this station, the system can connect to sources outside the routing map, such as servers and hosts of foreign countries. The playback speed during such a transfer is from 154 omega to 5 omega cycles per second. This is enough to view your content with a stream speed of more than 24 megabit per second, 1 megabit per second per communication channel, total 24 channels. N9000 is a routing accelerating feeder aggregator operating on a broadcast function. Like a cylinder with a nitrogen accelerator, N9000 causes a quick reaction in the stochastic chain of operation of the Compositor OS transmission engines, such as Telescope, AVAX and IPTV. When the transmitting function is fed directly into the engine, a stable structure feedback is formed with the source server. Then it is the work of routing plugins such as RTZX and SASER to assign a route to the feedback source server. FF8 is the virtual antenna with quantization mesh structure capable of receiving any composite signal of both streaming video services and streaming music services like Apple Music. The virtual antenna FF8 carries out state broadcasting, and therefore its signal is available even in remote corners of your country. State impact broadcasting is established using a quantum approximation of the antenna array for the transmission function similar to N9000. Take as an example, the whole world is divided on chunks by meridians and parallels. These chunks are quantas, which described by my own integral and polynomial. At first you start with a function, then you've got an integral of a function, and then you got a quantized integral of a function. Afterwards, you approximate the quantized integral of a function to the original function. This is how the state broadcasting occurs. Rad-36 is an imitation of the radium isotope of 36 valence. This isotope is excellent for local broadcasting, so it builds stochastic chains 36 steps in depth. 7 isotopes of radium-36 are able to aggregate a high-capacity peer-to-peer pool. For example, you watch a series on Apple TV Plus using an over-the-horizon station SASER SAS24 serial, and at the same time aggregates this content into a virtual local network of radium-36, which allows local subscribers who do not have routing to the source servers to watch the series with you at any time. This service is for legal users only. To aggregate Apple TV Plus media content, they should have a Mac equipped with a Rad-36 application and arrange a space for Rad-36 desktop and Apple TV Plus app screen. Then you need to open a full-screen view of your content, and Rad-36 starts to aggregate streams on a peer-to-peer basis. So, users become peers, and it enhances the quality of your video and audio playback when you receive chunks of content from different locations. Rad-96M is a modification of the standalone Rad-96 receiver. The computer equipped with this algorithm performs the original transmission from the parent server. In this case, the parent server is the source server, and the coefficients in the transmitting equation are a direct modulation of the MAC tables of the parent server. In fact, the machine itself is trained by the parent server on which the stochastic control of multiplier performed. With it, you can influence the original stochastic chain. For example, if you open up an application with some chatter service like WhatsApp, desktop, the choice of polynomial will be influenced by the input of all the participants of your chatter. Think of this like a community manager. Your choice is a collective effort of all your contacts. TC25 produced by integrating all 24 frames into a combined 25th frame. It is possible to achieve collision-free crawling of servers and establish server-free inter-track routing with this plugin. This way you work on a level not of a content-holding machine, but on the device transmitting this information like a router. TC25 is a professional radio pilot for framing the carrier frequency, so the system more often uses it as a feeder of the transmitting station, prolonging the original stochastic chain by the number of hops that are inherent to this routing segment or domain. 4 pilots are enough to control a large segment of the VLAN created by the 7 Rad-36 experience services. Take as example the Premiere, where you want to view your film with over-the-horizon customers and not with your local ones. Then you can bypass the servers of your local territory by the TC25 algorithm and connect to other countries' servers using over-the-horizon radio station. RT-ZX is a platform for learning radio chains with different frame lengths. The depth of the reference ranking mechanism depends on the frame length. There are 5 models of RT-ZX Scala-Soft processors, namely Z=8, 16, 32, 64, 128. All processors are interchangeable and correspond to a learning system of different quantization. The highest quantization of Z=128 gives the deepest chain of the reference mechanism but is local to IPv6 networks and does not give an advantage in IPv4 networks. For the advanced operation, these features should be used with an over-the-horizon router or dial-up into IPv6 networks via PDH N9000 and SDH IE RT1024 frames.